Time for a little X's and O's. And today I dedicate this Chalkcast to ESPN's football wizard, Mina and her partner in crime, the Cover 2 abolisher and QB guru, Mel Kiper. This is the QB Unfiltered Chalkcast. Today, that pesky Cover 2.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
This current NFL season has unleashed quite a controversy at the pontificators at ESPN. One of the big questions is, why is quarterback play so subpar this season? And you could probably go back and say the same thing about last year and go back 2 years prior to that and say the same thing. Why do offenses struggle on a week-to-week basis? And this season, Mina has thrown out her theories on why this is going down and has really created somewhat of a firestorm out there with former football coaches or just fans that understand the passing game and understand football. And then you throw Mel Kiper into the mix, and I'll get to him here in a second. But let's start with Mina. ESPN's football analyst has blamed poor quarterback play and below average passing game numbers on defenses playing cover 2, among other things. Kirk Herbstreit has said basically the same thing during games this year. And anytime we saw cover 2, a defense lineup and play cover 2, Herbstreit would say on more than one occasion, that's why you got to run the ball against this coverage, because it makes it very difficult to throw the ball, particularly throwing the ball downfield. And then draft guru Mel Kiper took it one step further and suggesting that the NFL abolish cover 2 because it strangles NFL passing attacks and completely befuddles offensive coordinators. Those are my words, not his. But what he did say is the safeties are allowed to play just too deep. It makes it very difficult to throw the ball down the field. There should be yardage limits for the safeties. They should outlaw cover 2. The safeties are playing so deep in that coverage that a lot of times it looks like the defense is playing with just 9 players. So Mina and Mel, I have decided to take a stab at showing just a couple of routes that carve up cover 2. Okay, so what you get on a weekly basis in the NFL are basically the same fronts, the same coverages, the same type of blitzes. I mean, there's only so many things that you can do and be sound defensively. It comes down to executing on the offensive side of the ball. And also, cover 2 is not a new thing. It's not like we just woke up last year or the year before that and all of a sudden all the defenses in the NFL are playing cover 2. No, it's been around for a long time. I would say, at the college level where you have better passing teams, better schemes, at the college level, cover 2 has been pretty prevalent for the last 35 years. All right. And the NFL, while not as much as college, is still, you're getting a ton of that, particularly when you're a team that supposedly can throw the ball or knows what they're doing throwing the ball, has a good quarterback, has good schemes and concepts. You're going to see cover 2 defense thrown against you, but it's nothing new. Okay. The issue at hand is not defenses playing cover 2. It's how the NFL quarterbacks and offensive coordinators attack and execute against cover 2. But in the college game for the last, like I said, 35 years, you've got guys like Hal Mumme and Mike Leach and June Jones and all of those assistant coaches that Mumme and Leach spun off in their coaching tree that branched out across the country and are running offenses for the past 30 or 35 years. Those guys have seen primarily cover 2 every game. And, I know how to throw the ball. We were very, very good at doing it. I led the country in passing at the NCAA Division II level. My Santa Rosa Junior College teams in California, we led the nation in passing 8 times. So we knew what we were doing. And I would say in my coaching career and all those great passing teams I had, we saw cover 2 about 85 to 90% of the time against every opponent that we played. That's just the coverage that you play against teams that can throw it. And in those 30 to 35 years, you have tons of coaches across America, across the college landscape at every level of NCAA, NAIA, junior college ball that are absolutely atomizing cover 2 with their passing game. So the question begs, if college guys, if college coordinators, college quarterbacks, college offenses are carving up cover 2 for the last 30 to 35 years, why is the NFL having such a difficult time of doing it? And I'll explain. I'll give you my reasons later on in this show. Okay, so today I'm going to chalk up 2 routes that I ran in my playbook for 36 years. My playbook never changed. All right. I had about 6 or 7 passing concepts, and I'm going to give you 2 of those today. And these 2 plays I ran over and over and over. I've done tons of coaching clinic speeches and presentations in those 36 years. And the topics that I talked about most of the time were chalking up these 2 routes. And if you had the chance to go back and talk to any of the defensive coordinators that went against me in my college coaching career, every one of those D coordinators would say, you have to be able to stop these 2 routes when you play Coach Simon's team, because you're going to get a big, steady dose of these 2. And so while there's a number of concepts that carve up cover 2, I'm going to show you 2 really simple concepts. It's 2 routes out of the same one formation, and I'm attacking the same defensive player, and I'm highlighting the same receiver. So let's go to the board. Okay, we're going to start by chalking up cover 2. Okay, so we've got cover 2 drawn up there versus a 2x2 formation. And you've got cornerbacks now that are lined up outside shade or outside leverage of those outside receivers. And the reason why they're lined up outside shade and they want to keep outside leverage is they want to be able to funnel those outside receivers inside to those safeties on vertical routes. And so you're going to get them lining up either head up and then stepping outside on the snap, or they're going to line up outside shade. Now, the other thing is you can notice here these 2 lines right here, that represents their feet. Their feet are pointed in the backfield. A lot of times I'll put a dotted line to what their vision is looking in the backfield. Same thing for the slot defenders. They're lined up. The slot defenders now are lined up inside leverage or inside shade of those slot receivers. And there's 2 reasons for that. The first one is these guys are run force guys, meaning when the offense runs the ball, they have to be able to fold in and help with the Mike linebacker to tackle running backs. So they're going to line up inside shade of those slot receivers. Okay. The second reason why they're lined up inside is they don't have any flat responsibility. Okay. The cornerback out here has got the flat. These guys are basically just dropping curl, which is basically straight back. So they're able to line up inside leverage like that, but their feet and eyes are going to be in the backfield. You got the Mike linebacker in here. I'm going to do this out of a 4-1 front or an Eagle 1 front, 1 backer in the box. And then you've got your 2 safeties on or near the hash. And the responsibilities for these guys is this. Okay, so both corners now have the flat. Both slot defenders have curl. The Mike linebackers playing hook to hook, so in the box. And then you've got your two safeties over the top playing half the field. Okay, cover two. That's cover two zone. This is the dreaded coverage that is shutting down NFL offenses. This is the coverage that Mel Kiper wants abolished. This is the coverage Kirk Herbstreit says you got to run the ball because it's too difficult to throw. This is the coverage for the last 30 or 35 years that college coaches have tattooed on a weekly basis throwing the football. And again, I'm going to give you two simple routes that will attack this coverage. I'm going to go after the same defensive player, and I'm going to highlight the same offensive player. So we're going to start with 4 vertical. I don't give my receivers letters. You know, a lot of offensive coordinators use the old X, Y, Z, H, and F to label their receivers and running back. I give them numbers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. My running back's number 5. And in this 2x2 formation, 1 and 4 are on the outside, 2 and 3 are in the slot. So I'm going to chalk up 4 vertical, and then we will talk about the slot receiver. Okay, now when we call 4 vertical here, 1, 4 know what routes they're running. They've got best release vertical, best release, okay, best release to beat that corner without getting jammed and rerouted to get vertical. And then their aiming point is the bottom of the numbers. Okay, we give those guys landmarks on their verticals. So the outside guys, best release vertical, bottom of the numbers, expect the football. Now, before the ball snapped, the slot receivers don't know which guy's running the bender route. That's the guy we're going to highlight here, and which guy's running the seam vertical. Now, I'm going to run the bender to number 3. And so before we snap the ball, while we're doing all of our pre-snap stuff, or we're calling off coverages and we're making our protection calls, our quarterback's going to make a decision which one of those 2 guys, number 2 or number 3, is the winner on the bender. Okay. And things that go into his decision-making process are depth of the slot defenders. Is one guy up closer and one guy further back? The personnel of the slot defenders. You know, you got one guy out there that looks like he might be somewhat athletic, and the other guy looks like a true snot-blowing linebacker that your guy's going to run right by. Another factor that comes into play, which one of those 2 guys, 2 or 3, runs the best bender route? Okay. Another one that comes into play, if all things are equal, which side does the quarterback like to throw the bender? But this is totally up to the quarterback. He is going to determine which one of those 2 slot guys runs the bender and the other guy's running the seam vertical. So the QB is going to make some sort of a hand signal before we snap the ball. I'm not going to get into that right now. There's still a lot of high schools up in Northern California that are running a lot of my stuff and even viewing the same terminology with the same signals. So I won't go over what the signal is, but when the ball snapped, or before the ball snapped, number 2 and number 3 know what they're doing based on the quarterback's signals. So in this situation, he's determined that 3 is going to be the winner. He wants 3 to run the bender. So he signaled to him, which means number 2 is going to take best release vertical, and his aiming point is on the hash. Okay, so now let's go to number 3 with the bender. Okay, on the bender, we're telling the bender receiver on his release to beat that slot defender over the top, which means beat him to the outside, over the top. And the reason why you want to do this is if you try to beat him inside, you end up running that bender route flatter, and you also now make it easier for the Mike linebacker to get underneath that thing. So by beating this guy outside or over the top, you keep that distance and that spacing away from the Mike linebacker. Plus, if this guy's playing inside leverage, he's going to give you that release to beat him over the top. Now, there is no yardage depth for this guy. You tell him as soon as you've beat him over the top, stick that outside toe in the ground and snap it on the bender and snap eyes. So you have no yardage depth here for that guy. You can't say, well, the bender always breaks it at 8 or the bender always breaks it at 10. It really depends on how much depth this guy gets and how fast this guy beats him over the top to stick his toe in the ground and break it on the bender route. And then the other thing you tell that bender receiver, as soon as he sticks his toe to break it inside, he's snapping eyes to the quarterback because that sucker's coming. Okay? It's coming. Now, the running back. He's got pass protection first. If his linebacker comes, he stays in and blocks. If his linebacker doesn't come, he's running a check down route now at 4 yards, okay, where he's going to drive it up to 4 yards. He's going to sink down. He's going to reverse pivot, and he's going to spot up to the quarterback. That's the check down route. What your quarterback does on this, your quarterback's taking a 3 quick drop. 3 quick. He gets the snap, 1, 2, 3, and the ball's out. 1, 2, 3, and the ball's out. Okay, and what the quarterback's looking for is that patch of grass inside of the inside shoulder of that slot defender. So as he's taking that quick 3, he's keying. He's not keying the receiver and he's not keying the slot defender, but he has like softer vision where he can see both of those guys, and he can tell that guy's going to win or he's not going to win. And if he's going to win, we're trying to throw it right off of the inside shoulder of that slot defender. And that's why your slot receiver needs to get his damn eyes around, snap it to the cues. So the key to this play, that's about a 10 to 12 to 13 yard throw by the quarterback. All right. So when you're running this and that guy ends up touching the ball, 15, 18, 20 yards downfield, where now the safeties can get in and knock the shit out of him, and the ball's in the air way too long. And we'll talk about that later on when we talk about why the NFL has problems running stuff like this. This is bang, bang, 1, 2, 3, and that ball is out, and you're throwing it right off of his inside shoulder. That guy's usually lined up about 4 or 5 yards off the ball. All right. This thing's going to happen fast. All right. Now, if this guy gets depth where it's not going to happen, your quarterback does not wait for him to get open further on downfield. He just simply resets his feet and his eyes, and he delivers the check down route to the back, and we get what we can get. Okay. So if that guy's getting depth and taking that bender away, you just check the ball down to the back. All right. Now you may be saying, well, won't this Mike linebacker cover that running back? Well, he might, but if he hugs up on that check down route, look at all that grass that you've opened up for the bender. So he's going to be getting underneath. He's going to be trying to work to build that vertical wall. Defensive guys say, build the vertical wall. This guy is going to try to build the vertical wall, and if they do that and they take that bender away, you just check the ball down, play catch, and let's move the sticks, and we run another play. Okay, so we talked about 4 vertical being one of the 2 simple routes that absolutely carves up cover 2. This is the play off of that. They go hand in hand with each other. In all your passing game concepts, you build it off of selling the vertical to the defense. All your routes, doesn't matter what they are, quick game, intermediate, deep game, you've got to sell the fact that you're going vertical on every one of those pass concepts. Okay. So this is now, again, we are attacking the same defensive guy. And I've said this in other shows that I've done. You know, I've talked extensively about the Miami Hurricanes and the fact that I think they should use slot receiver Xavier Restrepo more in attacking slot defenders in their passing game. These two guys right here are the guys that you have to go after when you're throwing the ball. They're the worst cover guys out there in their secondary are the two slot defenders. Okay. And so the first route, 4 vertical with the bender, and we tagged the number 3 receiver to work off of that guy and beat his ass on the bender. Now we're going to run this guy on an option route. Okay. This is an option route to number 3. All right. And these are the routes. We'll start with the backside. All right. The slot receiver has got best release and he's running a dig route. Okay. Stick the toe at 10, burst across, flat, full speed. The outside receiver is running what we call a read route. He's got best release, sell the vertical to 6 yards, sink down, and now versus zone, he's going to come inside slow and flat. He's basically looking for grass out here. If he's got a big patch of grass here, which he should have, he's just going to sort of settle in that grass. Okay. Much easier throw for a quarterback to hit a stationary guy sitting in grass than it is a moving receiver. And it should make sense that you don't want to run past patches of grass, you know, on routes and run into somebody else's coverage zone. Just settle in the grass. And so that's what that read route does. Now the running back lines up opposite the option route receiver. He's running check swing. So he's checking pass pro. His guy doesn't come. He runs the swing and he is the check down. But the game is over here and we'll start with the outside receiver. He has a mandatory outside release. Now remember, I said this corner was going to keep outside leverage and he was going to force the receiver to go inside. So by him taking an outside release and this corner trying to keep outside leverage, that corner is going to keep widening. All right. And there's been times I've run this play where the receiver got widened, the corner widened so much, and the receiver kept working to get outside of him that both of them ended up running out of bounds. And if that happens, you've done your job. Your first job, this guy's first job, is to take an outside release to widen that corner to give that guy grass to play in. His second job is beat his ass deep now downfield and expect the football. Okay, so that's his job. And his vertical route, he's aiming for the bottom of the numbers, landmark. Okay, the slot receiver, he's going to take best release, BR, best release, and he's selling the vertical now from here to 6 yards is going to look to that slot defender exactly like he's seeing 4 vertical and that guy's running a bender route. Full freaking speed. Sell the vertical, sell the vertical, sell the vertical. All right. This guy is going to start to back up, backpedal, build that vertical wall, which is exactly what you want him to do. And now at 6 yards, number 3 is going to sink down, reverse pivot, eyes to the quarterback right now. And he's going to shuffle away like a basketball shuffle, staying flat, unstoppable route. So that route, and that route, the option route and the bender route, are going to drive this guy absolutely nuts. Okay. Now your quarterback, and I'm not going to bore you with all the reads on this. Okay. There is a situation where we could throw the ball to the outside guy. And obviously, you know, you've got your backside reads if that option route's not there, but this is what your quarterback's doing on the play side. And in all the years that I ran this play, I would say that I came back and threw that backside route. If I didn't tag it, okay, I could call this play and tag to the quarterback. I want you to throw the dig route. If I didn't tag it where the quarterback just read it out, play side, it wasn't there with the option route, and he snapped eyes and came to the backside, he probably did that maybe 4 times in 36 years. Okay. All the other times that we ran this, he was throwing the ball to this guy. My leading receiver every year was the number 3 receiver. Okay. He just caught the most balls and he made a living running benders and then running option routes. Okay. Your quarterback, he's going to GST, which means grab, stab, and throw. Okay. So as he gets the snap and he starts to get his feet underneath him, he's basically reading this situation again with softer focus. Okay. But he also knows this. If that slot defender's playing inside leverage, this guy's going to be open when he reverse pivots and shuffles away. All right. So you just wait until that receiver starts to come out of his pivot, his reverse pivot, and that ball is out and your quarterback throws your receiver open, which means he throws it away from this guy, which means in this situation here, he's throwing it to the slot receiver's left shoulder. Now, every year when I taught this route to my quarterbacks in fall camp, I would have them stand back here and I would take my slot receiver and have him stand at 6 yards. And then I would stand as the slot defender and I would stand shoulder to shoulder with that slot receiver. And I'd tell this receiver to put his left hand out and I'd say, he's open to the quarterbacks. He's open. This guy could be standing right next to him, and if you put the ball on that outside shoulder, he's shuffling away, and you throw him open, they can't stop it. And now it's just a matter of pitch and catch. I go back to Mahomes and Kelsey, and what makes them so dangerous on, again, they'll run this play. It's a little bit deeper version for the Chiefs. The thing that is so deadly when Mahomes and Kelsey run those routes is the timing that Mahomes has. So the ball is out of his hand when it needs to be, and the defense can't do anything about it. It's bang, bang, and it's pitch and catch. Those 2 routes right there, the bender and the option route, kill cover 2. Kill it. Okay, so I asked the question earlier if college offenses and OCs and quarterbacks and passing games have been atomizing cover 2 for over 30 years or more, why can't the NFL do it? What is so mesmerizing and what locks down passing games in the NFL when defenses run cover 2? And these are the reasons that I have for that. We're going to start with the quarterback having poor, sloppy, slow feet. So when we drew up the 4 vertical, throwing the bender, windows in the NFL, they close really fast. Okay. Because the quarterback's footwork is so bad and so sloppy in the NFL, when that receiver makes that break on that bender, that ball is getting out way late. And now the window is closed up. And now you're getting receivers that are getting hit. You're getting safeties that are making plays, breaking on the ball and making plays. And it's a situation where you're not completing passes, and that is totally on the quarterback. Remember what I said on that bender route. That has to be thrown right off the inside shoulder of that slot defender. And in order to do that, and for it to be like a 12, 13-yard pass in the air, the quarterback has to execute his footwork. 1, 2, 3, out. 1, 2, 3, out. Anything sloppy, anything slow, and now the ball gets out late and the whole thing is screwed up. The other thing with the quarterbacks, poor anticipation. Poor anticipation on when receivers are going to break open. You've got that guy running beat the slot defender over the top and stick his toe. Anticipate it. Anticipate it. You get that option route, that 6-yard option route. Anticipate the throw and when to throw it. And you'll see QBs that will hold the ball like on an option route. The option receiver has shown now the slot defender what he's running. And instead of the ball being on him as he reverse pivots and starts to shuffle away, the quarterback is slow with anticipation, or again, he's slow because his feet are shitty. And now that slot defender's driving on that route. And now we've got pass breakups and incompletions. And then the other thing is with the receivers, they do a horrible job in a lot of instances on selling the vertical route. So, I've got film, and you can go back and watch a show I did on the Texas-Georgia game, and I talked about the Longhorns running that option route concept against Georgia, and they screwed the whole thing up because the outside receiver took an inside release instead of outside, which squeezed the corner down. So now they're bracketing that option route. But the option receiver ran a slow 6-yard stem where the slot defender's going, there's no way in hell this guy's going vertical. So he just sits on it. Okay. And you can watch any NFL game on any Sunday and you watch receivers run routes. They don't run full speed stems. And remember, I said you got to sell the vertical. If you don't, DBs, whether it's in the NFL, college, high school, they're going to sit on routes. Okay. So you've got mechanical issues and technique issues, I think, that hurt the passing game in the NFL. And then, I know this hurts to hear this, but you've got offensive coordinators that are just chicken shit to throw the ball against cover 2. Don't even get me started on throwing vertical routes to the other receivers versus cover 2. I mean, I could do a whole Chalkcast on running 4 vert and tagging 1 or 4 on the outside versus cover 2 zone and make big completions or touchdowns thrown to those guys, based on safeties, cheating up, cheating in on their alignment. So yeah, I mean, there's a number of reasons why the NFL can't do this, but when you've got guys like Kimes and Kiper saying that the NFL should not be able to run cover 2 because offenses can't execute against it, that's a bunch of crap. Okay, hopefully you like the first Chalkcast. I'll be doing more of these as we go throughout the season. If you enjoyed today's show, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, QB Unfiltered. I appreciate the support. Let me know what you think of these 2 routes and Mina and Mel and their takes on the NFL passing game. Okay, this has been QB Unfiltered. And remember, always throw the ball short to guys who can score. See ya.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.